What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. We've got more receivers to take a look at here, more depth receivers. These are guys you sign to be a backup, guys you sign if you want to maybe challenge or replace a Jake Bobo or a Derek Young. These are the guys who are going to be cheap. These are the guys who are going to be well priced. These are going to be the guys who don't have a recent track record of big production. So you know what you're getting here. Let's go ahead and take a look here, starting with Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd would be a pretty good option if you're looking for a depth receiver. He just turned 30 a few months ago, and he has a history of producing at a high level, but those days are in the past. He was a 1,000-yard receiver for the Bengals a couple times. Good player, but his production slowly dwindled as the years went on, and last year he was kind of an afterthought on the Titans. He averages like 2 catches a game, slightly more, 2.5 maybe. And overall, he's just a guy at this point. So the cost on a player like this has definitely been driven down significantly, but he knows everything, right? He's been in the league for almost a decade. He knows what's up. He's played almost 140 career games. PFF thought he was pretty poor last year, 60 grade, so take that as it will. None of these players, with very rare exception, are ever going to be well thought of by Pro Football Focus because, I mean, that's why they're depth players, right? Understand that. Year before that, not much better. Actually, a slightly worse. 74th out of 85 qualifying receivers. And Spotrac says 1 year, 2.2 million. I'd pay 2.2 million for a guy with this level of experience. At least he's not going to make any big boneheaded mistakes, you would think. At least his wealth of experience could maybe benefit some younger players on the team. Not too bad of an idea if you want to go this route. Dyami Brown. This was a guy I remember really liking in the draft in 2021. I really liked Dyami Brown. And I'll tell you, it never really came together for him. There might be extenuating circumstances, I don't know. But he didn't even break 200 yards in any one season until this last year. And this last year, it was 300 yards, so we're still not really all that excited about it. He just wasn't what I thought he was going to be. And generally speaking, he's been healthy, so it's not like he can't catch a break. He's just not a particularly notable player. Even this most recent year, when Washington's offense was elite, he could barely carve out a real role for him. So he's a depth player at this point. PFF 66.5 this last year, which is actually pretty good. Credit where credit's due there. The year before that, 59, pretty poor. Spotrac 1.9 million 1 year. I mean, that's probably about right. I wouldn't hate doing it. He is only 25. He is going to turn 26 in November. So that being the case, you have a little bit more to maybe be open to. But yeah, 1.9 million is about right. Nelson Aguilar, Super Bowl champion Nelson Aguilar. Longtime Eagle, had some decent moments for them. Made big plays in that Super Bowl, but overall was a disappointment. Went to Vegas, actually had a career year. Went to New England, didn't do much. Went to Baltimore, didn't do much. And now he's here. He's just trying to find a job in the NFL. Going to turn 32 this offseason. Not a lot of appeal left with him. PFF, pretty lukewarm at best. 63.4 this last year. Year before that, 61.6. Just barely worthy of being in the NFL, but I would say worthy of being in the NFL. 1 year, 1.9 million. You can't go too wrong with that price. The thing is, there's not really upside here. There's only downside because of his age. So Aguilar, I mean, again, it's kind of like Tyler Boyd. I'd probably rather do Tyler Boyd even for slightly more money. Same basic idea, though. Olamide Zaccheaus. Olamide Zaccheaus. I remember looking at this guy in previous years. Smaller guy, 5'8". Played for Atlanta for 4 years. Spent last year in Philly. Excuse me. Spent last year in Philly, and then this most recent year went to Washington. Has had some good seasons. Has had some 500-yard seasons. Has been a notable player in this league for sure. Has done positive things, but never really broke out beyond just being like a moderately passable number 3 or a good number 4. That's how I would be looking at him. I would not be looking at him as a starter or even really a part-time starter at this point. Okay PFF score this last year, 72, man. That's right about average for a receiver. That's right about in the middle. And then the previous year when he didn't play that much, 51.1, that's pretty awful. Didn't play enough to qualify. He is coming into his prime, I guess. I don't think that's going to help him that much, but he is going to turn 28 this offseason. Something to be said for that, I guess. Botrack says 1 year, 1.9 million. Or a little bit less, actually. So, okay. We're definitely kind of just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall at this point, but guys like Olamide Zaccheaus belong in the NFL. They're good enough to be on a roster, just not good enough to play massive snaps. All right, next guy, a little more high-profile, Juju Smith-Schuster. This one is going to be pretty interesting. Former second-round pick, was a prolific player on the Steelers, made a Pro Bowl, kind of flamed out in Pittsburgh a little bit, ended up in Kansas City, where he was good, helped them win a Super Bowl, went to New England for a year, didn't do much, went back to Kansas City, didn't do much. So, up and down career, talented player, doesn't feel like he ever was all that he could be, and now he's, what, 28? About to turn 29 this season. So, still in his prime, but it feels like it feels like his window to get back to what he was in 2018 is closed by now. I don't think very many people would disagree with that. PFF thought he was pretty bad this last year. Not that he played a ton. 59.5 is not going to turn any positive heads. And the year before that, he didn't play a lot, but 57, like that's not good either. So even PFF is not a fan. They don't think that he's efficient, much less productive. Botrack says 1 year, 1.8 million. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets slightly more than this, just because he's a name, because he has a reputation, just because he was part of a team that played in the Super Bowl, but not much more. It's been a little too long since he's had a really good year. Like 2022 doesn't seem like that long ago, but he's been so forgettable these last 2 years. You're only going to go a little bit beyond that, I think. I do think he will get a little bit better than that, but not by much. Van Jefferson, Super Bowl champion as well, by the way. Spent time with the Rams, went to the Falcons, went to the Steelers last year. Just can't really reclaim his form from his Super Bowl year. He had 800 yards in 2021. Looked like a viable starting receiver in the league. And since then, I mean, he started games. He started a lot of games for Pittsburgh last year, but he doesn't produce really at all. He produces on the level of a number 4, maybe a really, really weak number 3 receiver. Not good enough. So at this point, he's just a depth guy. PFF, pretty low on him last year, 57. The year before that, he didn't play hardly at all in 2023, but 51.8. That would be one of the worst in the league, but obviously that doesn't qualify for a grade compared to other players. So Van Jefferson, I mean, he is what he is at this point. He's a player worth about $1.8 million on a 1-year deal. And I don't think there would be anything wrong with doing that, but all this stuff blends together, right? All this stuff is just kind of like, most of it is not any better or worse than any other part of it. All right, 2 more guys for this video. We're going to do 1 more receiver video later today, and that's it. Justin Watson, 3-time Super Bowl champion. This guy finds himself around winning situations constantly. His production has not been where you would want a championship-level player to be, but he's always on those championship-winning teams. He had 460 yards 2 years ago. That was the best he's ever done. Other than that, he's just a depth guy. He does start games, but he doesn't produce like a starter. He just gives you about 300, 400 yards a season. I think it'd be a mistake to expect more than that, right? He was on Tampa Bay, by the way, for their Super Bowl, and then he went to Kansas City for their last 2. You're wondering where those Super Bowls came from. So, PFF, 53.8, pretty poor. Not really getting anybody excited to get this guy. Year before that, 62.4, better, but still not good. Still not good comparable to other receivers, but manageable, tolerable. Botrack, 1 year, 1.7 million. Sure. Why not? He's about to turn 30, so age is becoming a little bit of a thing, but not necessarily a huge thing yet anyway. You're only giving him a 1-year deal. It's not like you're signing him to a 4-year deal. Finally, for this video, we got Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick had a nice little bounce back year in Detroit after his career really fell apart in Denver because of injuries. He was a good player in Denver, produced a lot in 2020 and 2021. Then he just couldn't stay on the field for 2 straight seasons, went to Detroit, and he's rebuilding, man. He had almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 33 catches on a team that has Jamison Williams, on a team that has Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. Like, that's no joke. So, hey, maybe he's got something left in the tank here. He is going to turn 32 mid-season next year, so buyer beware, but he did kind of take 2 years away from football. Maybe that helps. I don't know how much it helps when you're rehabbing, though. PFF liked him more or less for a reserve player last year. 66.9, right? 66.9 grade. 64th in the league out of 98 receivers. Decent, workable, passable. Better than a lot of the guys we looked at in this video, right? Botrack, 1 year, 1.7 million. He's not going to get that bigger deal until he proves that he's all the way back. So this is your chance to give him an opportunity to prove that he's all the way back. And it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all, I don't think. But those would be my depth guys to consider at the moment. We got more guys coming later. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys tomorrow or later today. Give me a couple hours. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your day.